work session is the Human Resources Annual Update. Ms. Selby.
Mr. Chairman, while we have a moment in time, I just want to comment on that beautiful picture on the screen with regard to our annual people. I just love people, and I love seeing them, as you displayed in front of the historic courthouse building here on the Chesterfield grounds, in the heart of the Chesterfield County Dale District, I must add. Thank you. This is a wonderful picture. Thank you, thank you, thank you for highlighting that.
So, Mr. Holland, we took a similar picture back in the early 1990s, so we replicated it just a few months ago. Yeah. Some of the same people were in both. Yeah. So good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Casey. Before we begin today's HR's annual report, I'd like to recognize this cross-departmental team that's before you today. They've exemplified the true spirit of collaboration. The team of employees includes representatives from police, fire and EMS, sheriff, and HR. They embarked on a remarkable journey to assist the county in addressing employee pay at the direction of this board and county administration. The team did a great deal of heavy lifting. They pulled data, they checked data, they read reports, and they worked very closely with our outside pay consultant to ensure we had a successful pay plan that was based on sound compensation principles and would help us achieve salary decompression and pay competitive across the board. And remember, this effort began in late calendar year 2019 and early 2020, as we saw the world changing. A pandemic was emerging, and individuals were leaving the workforce all over the nation in record numbers. And those that did stay commanded higher wages. And this was occurring in all sectors of the nation's workforce. So addressing compensation was critical here in the county. Because of this team's collaboration and under the direction of county leadership, employee pay was addressed and is now on par with the local labor market. You'll hear more about that in HR's annual report. I'm sure you all will agree that employees are our greatest asset. So it is only fitting that we take a moment to recognize these employees who work behind the scenes on this multi-year project with the goal of the county achieving pay competitiveness, which would also help improve the lives of county employees. Just one example we'd like to share with you. This employee said to us that in addition to their full-time county position, they also had to work a part-time job on weekends. But because of the pay study increase, which made their overall pay more competitive, they no longer had to work the part-time job and could spend more time with their toddler. The employee ended by saying this was the first time they had been able to spend weekends with their child since the child was born. So today we recognize this talented group of county employees for their ability to see beyond their own individual departments and work together toward a common goal for all county employees. The team reminds us of the power of collaboration and the impact we can have when leadership and employees come together as a united force. So to each member of the team, we extend our appreciation. You've shown what it means to be true advocates and champions for change. So I'll end by giving you all a familiar HR quote that rings so true. Treat employees like they make a difference, and they will. So thank you to the Public Safety and General Government Pay Study team for the role that you all played in serving your fellow county employees in this historic compensation initiative. To the Board of Supervisors and County Administration, we appreciate you understanding the value of our employees and the work they do collectively to make Chesterfield County a great place to live, work, and play. So thank you. Thank you very much to this team.
Board members. Mr. Holland.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thank you, Mary, for a presentation, and thank you for commenting on the fact that they have an opportunity to spend more time with their family,
Yes.
their toddler. That's so important because we pursue excellence in everything we do in terms of our financial reporting, accountability. We also want to be excellent as it relates to how we, use those well stated, treat our employees. And so I'm so thankful that we were able to do a pay plan that met the needs of each and every employee. So we thank you, we applaud you for all the outstanding work you do, because in essence, you do the work that makes a difference for the citizens of Chesterfield County and others who visit our county. So we appreciate you, we thank you, and your families as well, because it's not just you, it's those at home who are with you. So thank you, and give them our appreciation as a board for all you do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Winslow.
I would just say, of course, these pay plans, all of us work together on them, and you are part of our family here in county government, and you are able to help your families as a result of that. But organizationally, recruiting and retention is such a key part of what we all should be focused on like a laser at each of our departments and each of our jobs, because if we can retain good quality talent, we know we will continue, Mr. Holland likes to say, the journey of excellence that we are all on together. And so I'm just tickled pink that we were able to do what we did, and look forward to the success that this reaps for all of us in the years to come. Thank you.
Mr. Engel.
I just want to thank you all personally for the work that you've done to be able to give us the information we needed to be able to support our employees in the county. I've seen grown men and women cry for the change in their life, and I never expected that. I knew what we were doing was important, but to see that from our employees has been incredible. Serving on the Social Services Board, I saw positions that were open for over 1,000 days. 1,000 days plus that were filled, because the work you did allowed us to be able to support the pay study and to put it in place. So what you did for your fellow employees was instrumental in being able to take care of all of the county employees. So thank you all for your work.
Having been a county employee for 32 years before I retired, I knew the importance of what we're undertaking. I knew what it was going to mean to the county employees, having lived through this my entire career. But as Mr. Engel just pointed out, to have a firefighter come to you in the parking lot of Lowe's with tears in his eyes and thank you, to have a lieutenant from the sheriff's department come to you with tears in his eyes and thank you, to have captains from the fire department come to you with tears in their eyes and thank you, and have people from utilities and all walks of the county. I want to say, number one, thank you for all the work that you did in providing us the information. I want to thank this board for having the courage to make the decision to do this. It's our taxpayers' dollars that we're utilizing to implement these pay plans for our employees who provide tremendous service to the community. And we need to keep our employees and not have them leaving to go somewhere else, because the intellectual property that they take with them takes away from what we can actually do to serve our community. And I want to thank the taxpayers of Chesterfield County for understanding that, because their taxes did go up based on assessments. But I want them to know that we've wisely spent their money in the investment that we've put in to our employees to keep our employees here who do the tremendous work every day, so that they're competitive in the market and they know that they're appreciated for what they do. And so I just want to say thank you again for everything you've done. Thank you to this board. Thank you to staff for everything you did to help make this happen. And thank you to the community for understanding. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now on to the actual annual report. Thanks again for the opportunity to present HR's FY23 annual report. I have with me today Kristi Brittle, Assistant Director of HR, and Liz Marker, Chief of Administrative Services, who will be presenting with me. FY23 was a historic year for the county related to workforce achievements. While we have always had opportunities to improve, Chesterfield County experienced some unprecedented first-time achievements. Today, we will share with you some of those achievements, along with an overview of HR's programs and services delivered in support of our workforce. So let's start with our workplace achievements right up front. Leadership has always worked hard to make the county a great place to work. And over the past 3 years, when many employers were struggling to retain staff in the labor market, the county took this opportunity to increase investments in our workforce, because we recognize now more than ever that we must attract and retain superior talent in order to provide superior services to our residents. And we must show our employees that they are valued and appreciated. It's also important to mention that over the past 3 years, when employers faced uncertainties with their workforce, county employees ranked Chesterfield County government as a top workplace in the Richmond region, the state of Virginia, and the nation, as noted through employee opinion surveys administered by independent third parties. So for the first time ever, the county received 5 workplace awards this year alone, as shown on the top row of the slide before you. Also, you see that since 2021, the county has been recognized a total of 10 times for our workplace. And any organization that is recognized 10 times in 3 years for its work environment based on employee feedback is no coincidence. It shows that Chesterfield is committed to its employees. In addition to being an overall great place to work, we recently were certified as an employer that is age-friendly, meaning that we value older workers and the contributions they make to our organization. Last month, the county was also recognized for our workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, which contribute to a welcoming environment for everyone who joins our ranks. So now just a few comments about the great HR department. HR has 30 employees that make up our 5 core HR teams. The teams are employment, human resource information systems, compensation and benefits, employee relations, and administration. The team works hard to stay abreast of industry standards through professional development opportunities. Many of our HR staff hold HR certifications, professional designations, and advanced degrees. Another major division of HR is the Employee Medical Center, which has a staff of 10 members, including 1 physician, 4 nurse practitioners, 2 LPNs, and medical support staff. The county is very fortunate to have a highly trained and dedicated HR and medical staff who are committed to taking care of our workforce. As I say each year when I come before you as HR director, I'm very thankful for every member of the HR and EMC team. I believe that behind every great organization is a great HR department, and we have one of the best due to those pictured in the picture before you. And I'm very fortunate to be a part of this group. So how do we attract and retain quality employees? We strive to offer competitive pay and benefits, as we've talked about just a moment ago. As you know, the county launched Phase 2, which was the final phase of the pay study for general government employees in July of this year. We also awarded our second step increase under the Public Safety Pay Plan this past July. And the board approved additional funding for salary increases for sworn public safety schedule for January 2024 in response to increases in starting salaries that have continued to rise in the region. Another important need for our employees in both the public and private sector is maintaining a good work-life balance, and we've talked about that. The county continues to put programs in place to assist our employees with maintaining a better work-life balance, and you'll hear more about these initiatives as well during the presentation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Liz, who will cover ways we recruit.
Thanks, Mary. So this slide is a visual representation of the many partnerships and outreach efforts that the county has participated in to market Chesterfield as an employer of choice. The pictures in the middle show HR out and about in the community. The seals and the logos around the pictures just represent the 200-plus outreach efforts the county, including public safety, has participated in for FY23. So this next slide is a snapshot of our recruitment, talent acquisition, and career progression numbers for FY23. After review, you'll notice that there was a decrease in job advertisements, but an increase in applications processed, which means we're seeing more employees stay. We also saw the percent of new hires successfully completing probation increase, which indicates that we're doing a better job of hiring the right people the first time and providing them with the resources to be successful. You'll hear a little bit more about this when we get to turnover. In addition, there were fewer promotions in FY23, which we attribute to employees feeling comfortable in their job due to the pay study and participation in career development plans. For the top 3 reasons why applicants selected Chesterfield as a place to work, you may recall that last year was the first year salary was represented, and this year we saw it move up to the number 2 slot. It's also important to note that work-life balance made a debut to this list and did tie with learning and development as the number 3 reason. We credit these changes to the county's focus on employee compensation, enhanced benefits, and employee wellness initiatives. So this slide summarizes the applicant clearance processes that the county requires to ensure our employees meet certain standards to be a public servant, which includes drug testing, an FBI criminal background check, and an education verification. With these applicant clearance processes, less than 3% resulted in disqualification from employment. I'll now turn it back over to Kristi on ways we reward.
Thank you, Liz. We've made great strides to bring our pay scales in line with the market and adjust compensation for our existing employees accordingly. This sets the stage for our hiring managers to be able to offer starting salaries that take into consideration the job-related experience that someone may bring with them. We have to be able to maintain what we've worked so hard to build. So our compensation philosophy is that we will remain market competitive for all positions and maintain a decompressed compensation system. To do so, we will need to continually survey the market for public safety positions, teacher positions, as well as high turnover or hard to fill positions. We'll need to adjust our pay structures and our step pay plans going forward to keep up with the market. And in 2024, we will begin an RFP process to retain an outside compensation consultant. By adding a compensation consultant to our toolbox, in addition to our valuable benefits consultants, we'll have a resource available on an ongoing basis to assist us. And in addition to all of this, the Budget Office has established a pay reserve to help us continue to meet these goals going forward in times of economic uncertainties, similar to our Healthcare Reserve Fund. The number of department-specific career development plans grew by 5 in FY23. More employees than ever before have access to a CDP. Only 13% of our employees do not currently have access. CDPs are created for non-supervisory positions. So as available CDPs grow and more employees choose to participate, we have to be cognizant of the frontline supervisors. It's important to develop a process to address compensation for supervisors to prevent compression with their employees who have access to and participate in a CDP. So you'll see here that both the average and median salaries increased for FY23. But it's important to note that the salaries you see here do not reflect the Phase 2 pay study increases or the second step increase for public safety employees, as they were processed in the first pay period of FY24. Fast forward to today, the current average salary is $72,372, and the median salary is now $65,565. You also see that the number of employees below midpoint decreased. There were over 3,000 employees below the midpoint last year. Now it's less than 2,800. What makes this even more significant is due to the changes in the pay scales, our midpoints have actually increased. This chart shows you how we methodically went through the process to address compensation and compression appropriately through all sectors of our workforce. This has been a long process, but a huge investment in our most valuable asset, our employees. Since we shared this chart last year, we've processed the board-approved 2% merit increase and the Phase 2 increases for general government employees. Looking ahead, we're preparing for a 10% increase in public safety salaries due to an increase in starting salaries in the local market. Emergency communications employees will also be included in these adjustments as we work to transition them to a step pay plan in line with the public safety agencies they support. And as always, we appreciate the board's support in helping to bring our salaries to market in order to remain competitive in the region and to retain current employees. So we shared a similar slide to this back in March 2022 that showed the projected increase for specific individuals in the titles you see listed. We've updated the chart to reflect the average salaries for positions across the county, both before and after the pay study was fully implemented this past July. This significant investment in our workforce has truly had a positive impact on our retention and recruitment efforts, as you've heard so far. And as mentioned earlier, you see emergency communications officers here. They were first included in the general government pay study, but they will become part of the public safety pay plan going forward. And this is a similar slide. Here you see the average salaries for public safety positions before and after the implementation of the sworn public safety pay study and the second step increase. Moving on to our benefits. While we do partner with Chesterfield schools on our health and dental contracts, the information shown on this slide represents only county employees, retirees under the age of 65, and former employees with COBRA benefits. The county spent nearly $42 million in FY23 in health care. Out of those expenses, the county actually paid 74%, while the employee's responsibility was 26%. In FY22, to compare, the county's share of the expense was 69%. And we're on track for projected health care expenses estimated to be around $133 million for calendar year 2023 for county and schools combined. This chart shows the increase in rates from 2023 to 2024. And initially, it appeared that we were going to need to increase premiums by about 10% to keep up with the rising cost of health insurance. But we were able to use the health care fund to buy down our rates and cap the increases at 5%. But we are meeting regularly with our benefits consultant to assess what changes or initiatives we can implement to help control our health care costs so that we're not always going back to that health care fund to help control the rates. We've also contracted with Mercer Consulting to perform a claims audit with Anthem to ensure claims are being processed correctly and according to contract. So last year, we were excited to show you our new employee fitness room that was created for general government employees. Earlier this year, we were able to add not only additional equipment to the original fitness room, but we were also able to expand the fitness room into an adjoining space. And this was all based on feedback we received from county employees. The additional space that you see on the bottom includes commercial-grade equipment along with heavier weights and multi-use gear that will keep workouts challenging and fun regardless of someone's fitness goals. New equipment includes an elliptical, dumbbell weights up to 85 pounds, which I cannot pick up, I tried, a crossover cable training system, squat rack, and multiple sets of weightlifting bars and plates. And the daily attendance data shows a sustained 40% increase in use since Fitness Room B opened in June. We're also working with General Services on making improvements to the locker rooms that are located down the hallway from the fitness rooms. The number of wellness visits at our Employee Medical Center increased to 1,904 in FY23. The number of drug and alcohol tests, which includes both county and schools employees, increased to 3070. The number of bus driver physicals went down, while the number of fire physicals increased. And in total, the medical center performed nearly 1,300 physical exams. Although we continue to see an increase in the number of employees eligible for full retirement, estimated to be 385 by next July, we continue to see a decrease in the number of employees actually retiring. And we still feel this is because employees who may have been planning to retire have delayed their retirement so that their pay adjustments, either from the Public Safety Step Pay Plan or the General Government Pay Study, will have a bigger impact on their retirement. And this is great for the county as we're able to retain more employees and keep that much institutional knowledge in the workforce a little bit longer. And you also see up here that a little over 30% of the service retirements last year were supervisors and above. Our employees continue to contribute to their own retirement savings accounts through the county's deferred compensation programs. Employees deferred over $10 million in fiscal year 23, and that's a 9% increase over last year. 67% of our employees are enrolled in a deferred compensation plan, and this is compared to a national participation rate of 59% for similar size plans. So this year, in January 2024, we will enforce leave carryover limits for the first time since before the pandemic. We instituted a countdown clock that you see on the page here on our SharePoint page as a reminder to employees to help encourage them to use their leave balances that's over the maximum carryover limit. In January of this year, we offered a leave buyback program, allowing employees to sell back a week of leave to the county, and we had 635 employees who took advantage of that program. We've had a leave donation program in place since January of 2002. However, the current program is a one-to-one donation, where I as a donor have to know that you need the leave in order for me to donate leave to you. Well, we're often asked by employees with large leave balances if we know of any employees who need leave donations, or if they can just donate their leave to a leave bank. I'm happy to announce we're in the final testing stages of creating a leave donation bank, and we'll have it in place before the leave balance countdown clock strikes 0. With this program, employees can donate their excess leave to the bank, and then using the same guidelines as our current leave donation program, employees needing leave can request to use leave from that bank. So we're really excited to be able to offer this enhanced program. Paid parental leave, this was first implemented in January of 2020 and continues to be a very popular leave program. As a matter of fact, this past July, we actually extended the amount of leave available to employees from 2 weeks to 8 weeks. Nearly half of the paid parental leave used in FY22 was for bonding leave, which is leave for the non-birthing parent to bond with their newborn child. In FY23, more employees have been able to use leave to take care of their own parents. And Dr. Casey, you spoke about this in your employee message this morning, so it's very timely. So this is something that other employees are facing as well. And the usage of the parental leave for their parents actually went from 50 employees last year to over 95 this year. And we expect to see that increase more as well. So during last year's presentation, we shared that we had just surveyed employees to determine their interest in voluntary benefits. We're happy to report we just recently finished our initial open enrollment for these benefits. Employees now have access to cancer insurance, group policies for accident, critical illness, and hospital indemnity, as well as life insurance with long-term care, vision benefits, and pet insurance. The numbers you see in parentheses behind each benefit represents the number of employees who enrolled in that benefit during open enrollment. Overall, Pierce Insurance wrote a total of 3,133 contracts for our employees. These benefits will begin in January, and they will be payroll deducted. So I will now turn the presentation back over to Liz to talk about the ways we retain.
Thanks, Kristi. In a previous slide, we had talked about the 3 main reasons employees choose Chesterfield. One was opportunity for advancement, one was salary, and the others were learning and development and work-life balance. This slide shows you some of the incentives we use to recruit and retain employees, and these are common amongst high-performing organizations. This chart shows our current joint efforts with schools and some future opportunities to seek alignment across both entities. We look forward to the continued partnership and collaboration with schools. So last year during this presentation, we had hoped to see an improvement in turnover rates for FY23, and we are happy to report that the traditional turnover rate, which includes all separations, did in fact decrease to 10.3%, which is lower than other local governments in the region. Actual turnover rate, which excludes probationary separations and retirements, also decreased to 5.6%. Involuntary turnover decreased as well, which supports that we're doing a better job of hiring the right people the first time and providing them with the resources to be successful. Again, we attribute the decrease in turnover rates in part to the county's focus on employee compensation, enhanced benefits, and employee wellness initiatives. The county saw a decrease in formal employee relations matters with a total of 7 grievances. For EEO investigations, the county saw a slight increase, but it's important to note that almost all of these were ADA accommodation requests. In comparison to the size of our workforce, these are relatively low numbers. HR is thankful for the partnership with the county attorney's office, department leaders, and managers who offer support implementing proactive measures to maintain work environments that are free from harassment and discrimination. I'll now turn it back over to Mary to conclude today's presentation.
Thank you, Liz. So as we look at our workforce demographics on this slide, there's been a very little change in our workforce demographics from FY22 to FY23. The average age of county employees increased slightly from 46 to 47 years old. Over 2,500 employees now have the tools to telework, increasing by about 250 positions since FY22, which makes us more versatile as an employer. The number of employees living in the county also increased by about 100 since FY22. This next slide shows you the number of employees in the county by generations. Also, we list the separation percentages by generations over on the far right in the blue column. So we saw that the highest increase in employees were the Gen Zers, who are aged 25 and younger. I'm in that group. Followed closely by millennials, who are ages 26 to 46. And as you know, changes in the generations in our workplace from one year to the next, that's caused by new employees coming on to the workforce and then existing employees leaving. Employee engagement is not just the business of the HR department. Human resources is a team sport, and we must all work together to recruit and retain a high-performing workforce. This slide shows you the county administrator's FY24 priorities as they relate to the workforce. Healthcare costs continues to increase regardless of where you work, and the county administrator has asked HR to work with our benefits consultant to identify ways that we can better manage these increases. Recruitment strategies for sworn public safety, other hard-to-fill positions, as well as high-volume positions will continue to be a focus for the county administrator, public safety leadership, and HR. Mental health wellness remains a major focus for our employees who are working in citizen-facing positions and are regularly exposed to traumatic events in their work. This continues to be a high priority as well for our county administrator, and HR is working with him and other departments to put additional resources in place for our employees. This concludes HR's FY23 annual report presentation, but before we ask for questions, I'd like to ask the rest of our HR leadership team to stand to be recognized for their hard work and dedication to our workforce every day. So we have Laura Jensen, who's our practice manager at the Employee Medical Center, Dr. Tim Silver, who's our physician at the Medical Center, Sarah Hackley, Employee Relations Manager, Renee Chalmers, she's our Employment and HRIS Manager, she's the new kid on the block, and Courtney Heilman, our Compensation and Benefits Manager. So thank you to this team. And also to the rest of the HR and EMC professionals that are back in the office, making it happen every day. and for our workforce. Also like to thank this board for your support. You all make our jobs so much easier just because of your true appreciation and sincere dedication to the workforce. It really does make a huge difference. We're fortunate to serve under your leadership, and for that we want to say thank you. At this time, we are happy to answer any questions you might have for us.
Board members, any comments? Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, Ms. Selby, you do look younger every single day. You do. And it's because you love your job, the folks you work with, and it shows.
They're great. They're great. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Holland.
Yes, thank you,
I knew
Mr.
that
Chair.
before you even reached for the button.
You know it, Mr. Chair. You know I gotta say something about this dream team we have before us. Notice I use that word dream. It's a dream to have people as outstanding as you are. Obviously, when you look at the numbers and what you've accomplished, the recognitions locally, state, and nationally, you have done a tremendous job this year, and it's greatly appreciated. As you talked about the pay plan and the like, the career CDPs, career development plan, which I think is very, very important. So pleased to see that as well. And we have the new fitness center that opened in June. All employees can participate in that as well. That's a wonderful thing. Thank you for that. And of course, I saw the 69% retirement inclusion of employees. Do we allow employees to, or do we add them automatically, or do they have to add themselves to the retirement plan?
They have to voluntarily contribute.
Okay.
But those employees that are coming on with the VRS hybrid plan,
Okay.
that is split between defined benefit and defined contribution. There is a 1% mandatory contribution to the defined contribution portion of it.
Okay.
And then they can voluntarily contribute an additional 4%
Great.
with the county match.
Thank you so very much. That's so very important. And in other organizations I work with as well throughout the region, one thing we're looking at is what do employees want or need? Are there areas of opportunity you think we could contemplate this year that you would like this board to work toward, such as maybe child care, if that's an issue that we can look at, if you think, and other areas. I know other organizations are doing that as well. But any areas of opportunity you would like this board to consider working with Dr. Case and his team on for you is my question, my last question of you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Honestly, I think we are doing the right things. We do survey our employees all the time for various reasons, and we've asked what's important to them. We've even asked about the child care.
Okay.
And most employees don't necessarily want a centralized child care center here at the county because of where they may live. They want their child care to be closer to their home, you know, so that their partner can pick up the child too, as opposed to bringing them here. Really what they wanted was work-life flexibility.
Okay.
They, of course, competitive pay, and the benefits, you know, obviously looking at that. So, and a work culture that they can come to and feel comfortable. So I think we're doing all the right things, but we will certainly keep monitoring and asking the workforce, and they will tell us, no doubt.
Okay.
They have no problems telling us, and they reach out to Dr. Casey even. So right now, I think we're good. Just keeping up what we are doing, I think, is important. Yes, sir.
Ms. Selby, too, if I could just append to that, too, and I see Dr. Worsley here, so as soon as you mentioned the word child care, I looked up at him, and we're working towards a board work session update for you of overall for the whole county, because I think, as Ms. Selby mentioned, is that if we can help address and show people pathways to child care that might be closer to their homes or closer in their routes as they go to our various facilities, because, again, a lot of our employees don't necessarily work here at the complex, but through the Virginia Child Care Network and the inventory of all the places. And I know the board's been very conducive to listening to any citizen that wants to start a small family daycare in their home. And as you know, there's a threshold by which they need your permission. There's a threshold by which they do not. But again, for them also to understand the business of creating a daycare, they may not realize that they can stay at home and take care of 2 or 3 other children and make the same net income that they may have made otherwise in a job. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but Dr. Worsley is working with a group of people to really focus on that topic, because I know it's important to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And one last thing I'm gonna ask about is training opportunities. I know we had Chesterfield University. How are we utilizing that? Are employees utilizing that to train and to gain skills that they may want to learn to enhance the job, or even other opportunities that they may want to pursue in the training area?
Right, yeah. Actually, I think training, and I'm not sure if Mr. Bruni comes before you or is scheduled to come before
Okay.
you to share where we are with our training opportunities. But because of our CDPs, our career development plans, you have to engage in training. You have to acquire new skills so that you can perform at a higher level. So training records have increased. Employees are absolutely taking advantage of it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Winslow.
I just wanted to say, certainly those numbers and the bar charts that you all presented reflect all of this work, and I think in a very powerful way. And people forget, just coming out of the pandemic, what happened to the labor market and what we're still all in, and what they're predicting that we're in for the next, foreseeable time period here. So this idea of recruitment and having that diversity of talent and workplace culture and winning these awards. Every time we do these things, we build on ourselves and make this an even more powerful destination for people to come and be a part of in terms of our organization. So I just want to applaud all of you, each and every person that works with you, and just thank you again for this excellent work. You are doing a wonderful job. Wonderful job.
Mr. Engel.
Well, we've heard a lot of the great things you're doing in the county, but what I don't think everybody knows is how much we play a role in the region, where we are actually tapped by other jurisdictions, other PDCs, GRTC. When there is a major hiring going on in the region, many times our HR department is involved, sometimes with another jurisdiction or two, but usually always one of the ones that's tapped to ask for help with that. And I think that gives you a lot of insight into other organizations which you can bring back and help to strengthen the county. So I think the partnership works both ways, but I think it's important for people to know how highly respected you are and your department is, that they tap you often to get help. So thank you.
Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You touched on something about work culture. As someone who worked for Chesterfield for 13 years, I have to tell you that that culture is the intangible in all of this, in that when we enjoy those individuals we work with, that we know that we're going to show up and we're going to be part of that family, and we know that we're all working together, and that we are, brothers in arms and sisters in arms. That makes such a big difference. And I found that every day that I worked for Chesterfield, I find it today to be true. So I think that it starts from the top, but it also means that the leadership at each one of the departments, it's so important, and the kind of work that you all do, and to identify, okay, who is going to be who's going to be a good mix or a good spice in this stew. It shows. Yes. It really shows. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Well, I will have to say, having worked with you personally on example hiring the executive director for CVTA and your team, what Mr. Engel said is absolutely true, that our HR organization and many other parts of Chesterfield County, our treasurer's office and others, are regional leaders in assisting in all of these new hires for these executive level positions, and even managing money in the sense for the CVTA. But what Dr. Miller just said is extremely important, and that is that leadership from the top down, and I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about from Joe Casey's team on down. I will say that I have a tremendous amount of respect for these board members, because they all go out into the community. They all go to the fire stations, they go to the police stations, they go to utilities, they go to all different departments to engage with the employees. They give the employees an opportunity to actually talk with us and relay things perhaps that we're not aware of. We cannot fix problems that we don't know about. In recognition to what your organization does by actually being able to capture this information about how the employees feel, and translating that into putting it forward for recognition, I think is extremely important because it solidifies how the employees feel to the world actually about working here. But I also think the leadership from the top down, we set policy, but leaders below us have the ones who have to enforce the policy, right? They're the ones who have to keep the workforce in line, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But to have such a high level of employee satisfaction has to do with how we're treating our people, right? It's not just money. People leave jobs for everything else other than just money. And so creating the right environment, working, and to what Mr. Holland said about the career development programs, having employer leadership at the first line level to encourage our employees to actually participate in these programs, to help them get the training that they need to move forward, is all critical. And then part of that is how you get the employee that actually feels that they're actually appreciated for what they do. And then lastly, I want to thank the public, because the communities, the input that we get back from them about what our people do for them, whether it's someone calling in about what Parks and Rec does, like we talked about earlier, or someone commenting on what the fire department did on a call for service, or the police department, or the sheriff's department, or social services. All the departments, we constantly get input from the community on the performance of our people. And that also reinforces in them how they feel about what their job is. And so it's, as Joe would say, the secret sauce here in Chesterfield County on how we're actually doing all this is pretty amazing. And I don't know if we should sell it or what, but we need to keep doing what we're doing, I can tell you that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.